Greg Martin, former Wallaby, joins us, Marto. Mate, do you need a cuddle, do you? I mean, we've just been bombarded this week with bozo journalists telling us that, we've got to look after Australia, that Australian rugby needs us to be their friend, and we need Australian rugby to be strong.
It's been a tough week, mate. It has been a tough week. That was Monday. I was on air from 5 a.m. until 7 a.m. while the game went on here in Australia, and it's affected my demeanour, it's affected my attitude. And the thing is, I've got two things going on here, mate. I'm a Brisbane person, so I've got the Lions in the AFL Grand Final. I've got the Broncos. That should be bringing me joy. But all I'm being weighed down by what the Wallabies. I had to front with it today on radio. I finally got overwhelmed by people going, Marto hasn't explained what happened with the Wallabies. I don't know what happened with the Wallabies apart from I expected more. I believe the hype of Eddie. It's been horrible, mate. I do need a couch and I need a psychologist, and most of Australian rugby fans do. There's still a lot of us here, but no one wants to talk about it. We've been trying to pretend it didn't happen. Rugby doesn't exist anymore, so we're just moving on to other things. It's been horrible, Marty.
Well, hang on a second though, but Fiji could lose to Georgia and Portugal. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, in the Wallaby camp, over here you wouldn't have seen it, but they're obviously running with that line. They're going, well, we're not done with yet.
No, not done. Hell no. No, because you've got a chance,
God.
Yeah. No, I mean, look,
it's all your fault. It's all your fault, though. You know that.
Well, of course it's my. It's what? It's my fault. It's New Zealand's fault. It's our fault for the fact that you've got 5 Super Rugby teams, of which 4 of them are crap. Okay. However, how's this for a good stat? I think you've got something like 35,000, or it could be more, male rugby players in your country compared to about 28,000 here. So go figure that. You've got more players to choose from than we have.
We've gone for quantity, not quality. That's bloody sure. Now, it's your fault. I think Raylene Castle is when the rot set in. Then you sent us, first it probably started with Robbie Deans, and then of course, Dave Rennie finished us off, and not even Eddie could pull it out. Oh, it's sad. We're looking for all sorts of problems. You know what I worry about? I reckon we've dragged you down. Now you're 4th in the world. I think that playing us too often, I know you go, beat them again, but you've been dragged down to our level. So watch out if you have to play Fiji.
So who's your biggest radio rival in the Brisbane market?
It's a girls' station. They talk AFL and stuff. They talk the Lions.
Okay. So say, for example...
they would have been talking about Tay and stuff like that.
Well, say, for example, that on the Monday, in the middle of all of this, as the Wallabies are collapsing, there goes your Rugby World Cup, you did the Eddie Jones, you took a phone call, during an ad break and had a job interview. What would your bosses say to you? They probably don't mind you taking the phone call, do they? Because they say, hey, this happens in business, this happens. But going out on a date and arranging a meeting in Perth, I mean, what a toady thing to do. What does he think that if he goes to Perth, Eddie, that no one's going to know him over there, right?
I'm embarrassed that when they appointed him in January, I think I said it to you, it offers hope. And we needed hope because in January we had no hope. But now I'm embarrassed to go, I'd forgotten what a dick Eddie was, and his erratic and bizarre behaviour. We sort of went, that's great. No, mate. I knew it was going to end in tears. I just didn't know it was going to end in tears. Eddie has always looked after himself. When we started to do a timeline and said, wherever Eddie's been, he's always looking for the next. He's looking for the next, and he bails out of things real early. Why didn't we in Australian rugby do our due diligence and go, hey, he took England to the World Cup final in 2019. Now they're getting rid of him. Why were we so keen to get him? And we didn't. And we're idiots. And we're paying for it now.
Greg Martin is with us, Triple M Breakfast out of Brisbane, also former Wallaby, of course. And when you mentioned Tay there, now dating Travis Kelce, this is just genius, mate. My conspiracy theory is this is totally contrived. And I'll tell you why. Because the only footage is 2 seconds of them walking through the dressing room together. Now, every single player in that dressing room has got a wife and a daughter who are screaming at them going, why didn't you get a selfie with Tay? There was only one camera on, right? Then when it comes to them cruising off in the convertible, the only footage is this kind of footage from distance of 50 metres. I counted another 6 people in that shot. None of them are filming. Why is that? Because it's kind of been made to look as though, they just got secretly filmed. But what she's done is apparently after that game against the Kansas City Chiefs, the only demographic that the NFL can't get near is girls between about 8 and 20, and all of a sudden the ratings went through the roof. So here's the Wallabies answer right now. Long-winded way of saying it. Get your most bankable, marketable Wallaby superstar, find a pop star in Australia, get them together, mate. There's your answer.
Well, Kylie Minogue's now 54 or 5.
Okay, well, that's probably a bit old.
I'm more likely to get a root with her than any Wallabies. Listen, there's another one of the problems, and it's been pointed out to me by other people. No one knows any of the Wallabies. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you would have known most people on the street, like people who had no interest in rugby, would have gone, oh, yeah, I know most of those people. Mate, I'm an old commentator, and I didn't know what about 5 of them looked like. They got real problems here in Australian rugby, and it's going deeper and deeper. There's going to be a huge investigation. At least 2 teams of Super Rugby will get axed. The Rebels and Force finally will go, well, we're wasting our time paying 100, how many is that, 5 times 2, 3, about 160 players. We only need 100 pros, and let's trim things back and centralise. Mate, it's rugby in Australia. I know we're going to get the Lions. Maybe they don't want to come and play us anymore in 2 years' time. I don't know.
Well, let's finish on a happy note. Let's finish on happy time, because that basically is you got Brisbane and you got Brisbane. You got the Lions and you have got the Broncos. A double whammy this weekend in grand finals. Are you going to win them both?
The Bryans, we're calling them, the Bronco Lions. We're the outsider for both games, but there's no reason why we can't win both of them. So Brisbane was the centre of the universe with 90,000 people last weekend. Now Melbourne and Sydney get the games, but Brisbane has gone red hot. It's the home of all the athletes. You know what? The reason rugby's so weak in Australia is because rugby league's so strong. They're taking all our best athletes.
I'm just sitting there thinking, God, what a miserable weekend it's going to be if they both lose. Do you hate Collingwood more than you even hate New South Wales?
No, I don't have a personal thing against Collingwood because I've never lived in Melbourne. If you've lived in Melbourne, apparently you hate Collingwood people. I don't really hate them, but I love the Lions, man. They started in '87, the year before the Broncos. They've just been a part of our world, and they haven't won for bloody ages. The Broncos haven't won since 2006. The Lions haven't won since 2003. So there's a real buzz, and we're shit at rugby.